Hello, everybody. A little impromptu live video right now because the news is so big that I had to jump on live myself. It's true. The thing that we've been talking about for months now, I've been saying this to everybody who would listen. WrestleMania is taking place in Texas, which means that The Undertaker will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. More on this story in this video in this live stream from Wrasslinews. Hello, ladies and gents. This is Wrestling from Wrasslinews, and we are here to talk about the breaking news, that the thing that everybody in the wrestling universe is talking about, and that is The Undertaker will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. Good to see you, Kate Sky. Welcome to the stream. It's true. The Undertaker is not just being inducted into the Hall of Fame, he is headlining this year's Hall of Fame class of 2022 on the weekend of WrestleMania 38. Now, let's talk about this whole thing. I mean, the story WWE just broke it about an hour ago or less than an hour ago, but it was the New York Post that actually broke the story before anybody else. The New York Post, this article right here, you can look it up on nypost.com. They posted this article about 2 hours ago, 9 a.m. Eastern. They said that WWE is inducting Undertaker into the Hall of Fame this year, and we have a very elaborate article from them, which says that the Undertaker will be taking his rightful place among the immortals. That's right, the Hall of Fame is definitely the house of the immortals. I mean, once a wrestler gets into the WWE Hall of Fame, they are remembered for ages to come. I mean, the name is forever cemented in the history of professional wrestling. And let's take a look at what else the article says. So the article here says the Phenom, whose real name is Mark Calaway, will headline the 2022 WWE Hall of Fame class the weekend of WrestleMania 38 in Dallas. Now, the Post has learned. The reason why they say the Post has learned is because New York Post was literally the first. They broke this story about 2 hours ago, and not a lot of people picked it up until WWE reported it as well about 2 hours after New York Post first reported it. Now, here's the interesting part: the Hall of Fame ceremony will take place on April 1 on Peacock, so we'll be able to watch it live on April 1st. If you remember last year, the Hall of Fame ceremony that we had was not very ceremonious. It was not the best Hall of Fame ceremony we've ever seen, and that is because it was so rehearsed. The people who were getting inducted were not really given a lot of time to, deliver their speech either. It was cut short, it was edited, it wasn't live, and it did not take place in front of a live audience, and that was because of the whole pandemic situation that was going on last year. And now things are better, things have opened up, and that is why this year it's going to air live on April 1st on Peacock, and it's going to be taking place in front of a live audience. And that will have an attendance for WWE SmackDown at the American Airlines Center. So this is interesting. This is very interesting. Now, this is a part that not a lot of people are talking about, which we should be talking about. By the way, Joker is here. Shawn Michaels should induct Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. This is going to be interesting. Who will induct him into the Hall of Fame? Is it going to be Shawn Michaels? Is it going to be Triple H? Is it going to be Kane? Or could it perhaps be Vince McMahon? Because we know that Vince McMahon has a lot of respect for the dead man, for the Undertaker. Good to see you. So it could be Vince McMahon who would actually induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame because of the relationship that the two share. The Undertaker has been a WWE wrestler since forever. And we'll talk about the story of how he was first brought into the company and what Vince McMahon thought of him at first. But before that, let's talk about the relationship that Undertaker shares with Vince McMahon. I mean, he has been one person who has stayed with the company forever. And once he was recently, after his last WrestleMania match, once his contract expired, he was announced for an appearance for a third party, which he was about to do a meet and greet for a third party that was not affiliated with the WWE. Vince McMahon got really insecure because he wasn't expecting for The Undertaker to work for somebody else, to work with somebody else outside of the WWE. And that is why Vince signed The Undertaker to a contract, a lifetime contract, which basically is a contract for 25 years. And in this term of 25 years, The Undertaker cannot work with anybody else. He cannot do appearance for anybody else. He is a WWE guy, basically for the rest of his life. And that's the kind of relationship The Undertaker has with Vince. He is his guy forever and a day. So, who will induct him into the Hall of Fame? Demon Joker says it should be Shawn Michaels. But Undertaker has been around for such a long period of time that he has had on screen and off screen chemistry and relationships with so many people. I mean, he's been here for decades, longer than anybody else. So he has a good relationship with a lot of people. It will be interesting to see who would that one person be who would have the honor to induct The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. My guess right now would be Vince McMahon. But we'll have to see. Because, you look at Shawn Michaels or you look at Kane, yes, these are great friends. These are great supporters of the dead man. But these are on-screen relationships, right? But there's only one person who created the dead man, who gave him that platform, and for whom the dead man has done everything. For whom the dead man kept kayfabe alive, on screen, off screen for decades and decades. That's the Undertaker, and he did it for Vince McMahon. So yeah, I feel like the only person who should be inducting him into the Hall of Fame should be Vince McMahon. But here's the part that not a lot of people have touched upon yet, and we should talk about it. The part is that this ceremony, the Hall of Fame ceremony, will actually be taking place in front of a live audience that will be in attendance for SmackDown at the American Airlines Center in Dallas that kicks off WrestleMania weekend. What this means is that this is going to be a combined event. This is going to be SmackDown as well as Hall of Fame one event. You go to what this is like attending SmackDown and getting to see 205 live for free, same show. So that's what's happening here. This is not a separate event. This is not an event that's taking place outside of another event. This is not a standalone WrestleMania Hall of Fame event. This is an event that's been paired up with SmackDown. And yeah, there's nothing else going on here. It's got to be SmackDown and Hall of Fame combined, which is interesting. They've never done this before. It's the first time they're doing it. It's the first time in history that Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony, is not a standalone event. It is paired up with a traditional SmackDown show, which is very interesting to say the least. Now, let's go on and see what else does this article from the Post say. And it says The Undertaker is a Houston native who officially retired at Survivor Series in 2020. This is another part that we should pay attention to. It says that The Undertaker is a Houston native. And this is and John is here. He says Brett was close to Taker, and that's right. Undertaker has been here for such a long period. You look at the relationships he's had with so many people. Bret Hart is one of them. Jim Neidhart was another person that Undertaker was very close with. Shawn Michaels is there. Kane is there. There are so many people that he's had tremendous on-screen and off-screen relationships with. If you look at Stone Cold also is a person who's close to the Undertaker. There's so many people. But I feel that the one person who should and who probably will go on to induct The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame has to be Vince McMahon. And also, if you look at the whole wrestling industry, there is no person bigger than Vince McMahon. He is the creator of them all. And if he's inducting somebody into the Hall of Fame, that is the greatest honor a wrestler can get. So I feel like it has to be Vince because Undertaker deserves the greatest honor possible, and Vince McMahon is the guy who would, give him that honor by inducting him to the Hall of Fame. So Brett also, just like you said, John, could be a possibility. I just see it happening to be Vince. Let's see what happens. It's got to be interesting. Now, this part of the article is interesting because here it says The Undertaker, who is a Houston native, and what it means here, Houston native, is that The Undertaker is from Texas. And when I was doing an interview recently, I did an interview with JTG, the crime times one half JTG, and I asked him that, how do you feel that Chad Gaspard, after the ultimate sacrifice that he made, giving up his own life to save his son's life, that is the ultimate sacrifice a man can make, right? I asked Jay, thank you, Thomas, you're awesome. So I asked JTG, what do you feel about the WWE basically ignoring the sacrifice that Shad made, not inducting him into the Hall of Fame, the Warrior class, right, the Warrior Award, and actually giving the Warrior Award to Titus O'Neil. So a lot of people were thinking it would be Shad because the Warrior Award's meaning is that you give the award to somebody inside or outside of pro wrestling, inside or outside of WWE, who has made that ultimate sacrifice, or who has done something remarkable in his life, who has done a selfless service to somebody in his life. So a lot of people were guessing that it would be Shad Gaspard who would be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but it turned out to be Titus O'Neil, to a lot of people's disappointment, including myself. So I had to ask, thank you, I had to ask JTG, how do you feel about it? Are you disappointed? Did WWE actually reach out to Shad Gaspard or his family, to talk regarding the induction? And JTG said that, look, saying, look, AJ, they did not. WWE did not reach out to me. They did not reach out to Celiana, that is Shad Gaspard's wife. They did not reach out to anybody to induct Shad Gaspard and give him the Warrior Award. And they went with Titus O'Neil only because Titus O'Neil is from Florida. And WWE, at the end of the day, is a business. It's a business. So what they do is that, if they're going to, let's say, Florida, they're going to induct a Florida native, that is Titus O'Neil, to the Hall of Fame, over somebody who probably really deserves it in that very year, such as Chad Gaspard did back then. And now they're going to Texas, so obviously they're inducting, the Houston native, the Texas native, Undertaker, and he deserves it. But if you look at the timing, if you're wondering why now, why wouldn't they wait until maybe WrestleMania 40? It is because they're going to Texas now, and the time is now. The time is right, both from business perspective and also to give respect to the man that is the Undertaker. He deserves it. He truly deserves it. Now, we've seen him the last time he wrestled. It was a boneyard match against AJ Styles, and Undertaker has lived up to everybody's expectations. No matter it was in the 90s, no matter it was in the 80s, the Undertaker has always been around, and he's always just, has delivered jaw-dropping performances. Let it be against Triple H at WrestleManias. We saw incredible matches against Triple H. Let it be Shawn Michaels. Let it be anybody. Bray Wyatt. He has delivered class matches every single Mania. So if anybody really deserves it, I mean, look at these pictures right here on the article of New York Post. You look at the timeliness. The Undertaker, he changed, he grew up, he grew old in front of all of us. But yeah, if somebody truly deserves an induction, it is The Undertaker. But again, you look at all these things, you look at the eras he's been a part of, the Monday Night Wars, the Attitude eras, the WCW part, all those eras, the reality era, the PG era. Taker has always been around. He has always been there. He has always been a WWE guy, most importantly. And he has had tremendous relationship with a lot of people, a lot of people. So, who would that one person be who would induct The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame? Let me know, what do you think? I'd like to know what you think. But for me, as I said earlier, I think there can be no bigger honor than to be inducted by the wrestling god, the creator of all of professional wrestling, the guy who made us fall in love with wrestling, Vince McMahon. I think there can be no bigger honor, and I feel like that is the honor that The Undertaker deserves. I feel it is Vince McMahon who will be inducting The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. Now, Kevin XG, good to see you, Kevin. Thanks for tuning in. He says that Kane will be the one who will be inducting The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. While I would agree with you, the Kane is perhaps the half-blooded brother of The Undertaker. But if you look at all these people that The Undertaker has had relationships with, like Kane, like Bret Hart, you talk about all these people, even Jim Neidhart, he had a great relationship with Stone Cold, so many people. All these relationships, they came to fruition through on-screen character development, through the things that they did on screen, on camera. Yes, they shared great on-screen chemistry, and even off-screen they were good friends. Kane is a really good friend, is almost like a brother to the Undertaker. We know that for a fact. But what I feel is that Vince McMahon is the creator. Vince McMahon is the guy that the Undertaker has been very loyal to for decades. Vince McMahon is the guy that the Undertaker jumped off the Hell in a Cell off, for him, only for him. So I truly believe it's Vince McMahon. And if you look at the relationship that both Vince and The Undertaker share, it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way street, it's a two-way street because Undertaker has been loyal forever and a day to Vince. And so has Vince been very, very loyal to Taker. I mean, probably apart from John Cena, The Undertaker is the only person who has been a WWE guy since the very beginning. He did not jump ship anywhere else. He stayed here. He stayed true to Vince. Let's talk about. Before I get to there, let's see what Thomas here says. Thomas says, "I would love to see William Moody, aka Paul Bearer, R.I.P." Yeah, that's right. Of course, man. Like, who better than Paul Bearer? I know that a lot of us who've been watching wrestling for a while, we know that there was a time when we actually thought that Paul Bearer was the real life father of the Undertaker. That is the kind of relationship they shared. It was beautiful. It was great, and Bearer's not going to be there physically, but I'm pretty sure that Taker's going to be thinking about him. And we might even get to see, I don't know, some holograph or something, but that's superficial. What really matters is the emotions, and I'm pretty sure that Taker is thinking of Bearer right now, and he will be mentioning him and talking about him when he's on the stage, accepting that ultimate honor that is the induction into the Hall of Fame. But yeah, I would have loved to see Bearer induct Taker as well. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks. Yeah, got you, Thomas. So Undertaker, I said this earlier. The Undertaker, when after his last WrestleMania match, when his contract, silently it expired, Vince McMahon chose not to renew it because if they renew the contract, they have to pay money, which is a big amount of money to the Undertaker. So he thought, Taker's gonna be loyal to me. He's not going to go to AEW. He's not going to any other promotion. He's going to be a WWE guy for life, right? And he's already old, so of course he's not going to go anywhere. But The Undertaker, to Vince's surprise, he did decide, and he was announced for a appearance, a meet and greet appearance for a third party company which was not affiliated with the WWE. And those appearances were announced, and Vince was shocked. He could not believe that The Undertaker had agreed to work with somebody else. And that is why Vince McMahon got on the phone with The Undertaker. He penned down a deal, and that deal is a lifetime deal. And a lifetime deal that Vince McMahon has not offered to anybody in the history of the company, in the history of his life. He's never offered to anybody. So that lifetime deal is at least for about 25 years, which is a good amount of, I don't think he'll be able to wrestle after 25 years. So it's basically a lifetime deal. And that deal, according to that deal, Taker cannot make appearances. He cannot sign with anybody else. He is a WWE guy for the rest of his life. And he currently is on that very lifetime deal. And yeah, so this is the kind of relationship I'm talking about. It's the two-way street, the trust that Vince has in Taker and Taker has in Vince. I mean, who would agree to a lifetime deal, with any company at all? Nobody would do that to themselves. I mean, if you don't have enough trust in your boss or in your company, you would never want to be bound to a lifetime deal with anybody at all. But of course, Taker being Taker and spending so much time of his career and his life at the WWE, has a lot of respect and trust in Vince, which is why, he ultimately signed that deal, and which is going to see him with the company, with Vince, for the rest of his life. Let's take a look at Twitter and let's see how are people reacting to Taker's induction. Here we see a person saying, well deserved. This person says, nothing to see here, just two Hall of Famers in one of my favorite stories of my childhood. And to Thomas' point here, would be great to see Paul Bearer. And I said, Stone Cold, I'd like to see Stone Cold as well. Taker has been there in the WWE for so many eras. A lot of eras, the reality era, the PG era, back around when Yokozuna was around, back in the Attitude era, the WCW War, Monday Night War. He's been around for so long. He has had chemistry and good relationship with so many people, there would be so many people out there that would be so happy and honored to induct The Undertaker. But there has to be only one, and I feel that the one is Vince. If you think otherwise, let me know. But let's see what other people are saying about this induction. Claire says, so happy for him. This one is the most deserved, in my opinion. A legend and one of the best of all time. Indeed. Indeed. Indeed, one of the best. There is nobody else who comes close. It's a shame I never got to see him wrestle, but I'll do anything to see this man get inducted. And once again, if you're just tuning in, if you did not catch this earlier, what I said, this Hall of Fame ceremony is going to be an interesting one because this is not a standalone Hall of Fame ceremony. This has been paired up with SmackDown at the American Airlines Center. So this is like, a package deal that you get when you attend SmackDown and you get 205 Live for free, right? You sit there, you enjoy two shows tapings, and you see that. This is what's happening here. You attend SmackDown, you also attend Hall of Fame. It's a pair. It's a two-in-one deal. I'm not sure if it's going to be live or not, but this is what's happening. SmackDown and Hall of Fame are going to be taped together in the same arena in front of the very same audience, which is interesting. It's never been done before, and not a lot of people are talking about it right now. SmackDown and the Hall of Fame ceremony are going to take place at the very same venue on the very same day in front of the very same audience. So the people who are attending SmackDown don't have to buy an extra ticket to attend Hall of Fame. They attend one show, they attend both the shows, which is interesting. It's never been done before to a Hall of Fame ceremony. Last year, of course, we got a very sad Hall of Fame ceremony, which was taped and was edited and was choreographed and rehearsed. It was sad because of COVID and because of the whole pandemic. But this time, it is not, it is taking place in a real life audience, but still, it is not a standalone ceremony. It is taking place in front of the audience that is supposed to be attending SmackDown. So it's interesting to say the least. I'm not sure why this decision, but they're going ahead with this decision. Good morning, Willen. Good to see you. And if you look at this tweet right here from the WWE, it also says the same. The Phenom is headed to the WWE Hall of Fame. Witness Undertaker's induction on April 1st at the WWE Hall of Fame ceremony right after SmackDown at the American Airlines Center. It is true. It is taking place in the same venue, in front of the same audience. It is like, WWE basically taping 205 Live in front of the live audience once SmackDown goes off the air, right? That's what's happening here. They are going to be doing the Hall of Fame induction in front of the guys who attend SmackDown. Same venue, same place, same day, same audience. This time Hall of Fame ceremony is not a standalone event. It is taking place in front of the same crowd that's going to be attending SmackDown that same night on April 1st. Very interesting. So we were just taking a look at some of the tweets here, and of course everybody has nothing but good things to say about The Undertaker. He is going to do the Hall of Fame. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that The Undertaker is actually headlining this year's Hall of Fame. He is headlining the whole class, which makes me wonder who are going to be the other people who will be in the Hall of Fame. Because if you're starting off on such a high note, you better believe that the entire class should be really good and should be really, should be able to hang around the Undertaker, should be able to be good enough to hang around the dead man. Who could it be? Well, if you believe the predictions and you believe the dirt sheets, there is a rumor going around, which I don't know how I feel about this one, but I'm going to let you know about it in a second. There is a rumor going around that the person who will be inducted into the Celebrity Hall of Fame in 2022, along with The Undertaker, is going to be Floyd Mayweather Jr. Yes, the boxer. He's been rumored to be inducted into the Celebrity Hall of Fame. And we saw Floyd Mayweather, at WrestleMania 24, where he wrestled a match against the Big Show. So he definitely has some history in the wrestling ring. I mean, a lot of celebrities do. Even Jackass star Knoxville is going to be having a history in the wrestling ring, so that's interesting. But Floyd Mayweather is another person who is believed to be inducted into the Hall of Fame celebrity wing. this year along with the Undertaker. So that's very interesting. KJ is here. KJ, good to see you. And yeah, everybody is so happy and so stoked about the Undertaker possibly being inducted and headlining the Hall of Fame ceremony this year. It's great. Now, the other person who is also, it's actually a tag team that is also, a lot of people are predicting is going to be are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year are the Doom. The Doom. We've seen them. We know them. They're a legendary tag team, and they are expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame as well this year. Would you like to see them in the Hall of Fame? Let me know what you think. Now, apart from that, another surprising name, or maybe I should say not so surprising, since we saw her recently, it's WWE women's wrestler Caitlyn. Caitlyn is also expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And I wonder why. I wonder why are people thinking that Caitlyn will be inducted? And KJ here with a reminder: don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button because Wrestling News is here to deliver round the clock wrestling news to you, along with exclusive interviews. Our latest interview with Impact Wrestling World Champion Moose is already up on our channel. Check it out. Along with that, we have daily wrestling watch alongs Monday to Sunday. Every single wrestling show that is on TV or on Fight, we are here and we're covering it. No matter it's a mainstream wrestling show or it's a show that's taking place out of a basketball court. If it's good, we're covering it and we're doing a live watch along for it. So make sure you hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, the like button, all that good stuff. But Caitlyn is also expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and that makes me curious. Why Caitlyn out of all? Oh, there you go. It makes sense. I said this earlier. I said that the Undertaker is being inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, particularly because they are going to Texas, and you know how they do. What they do is that when they go to a city, when they go to a state, they want to induct the natives of the state, because of the business perspective. Caitlyn also happens to be from Houston, the same city as The Undertaker. So, true to your point, Caitlyn is expected to be inducted. It's not official yet. It's just, people are throwing out guesses right now. And Caitlyn, being a Houston native, being a Texan native, is expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame along with The Undertaker, along with Floyd Mayweather, who also people are predicting will be inducted into the Celebrity Hall of Fame this year. Now, I also want to look at Floyd Mayweather's hometown. Is that Texas too? Let's see. Floyd Mayweather, where is he from? Okay, he's from Michigan. Okay, well, but still, Floyd Mayweather could be a good name. Why not? I wonder. Okay, I wonder why Floyd though. But it's going on. It's going on. Okay, you say no. You don't want to see Caitlyn or Floyd being inducted. Okay, I think Caitlyn. If you can have Nikki Bella in the Hall of Fame, you can have Caitlyn, right? I think Caitlyn is good. She was good when she was around. Nikki Bella, I don't know about her, but Caitlyn, I feel was good. Was better than Nikki. So if you have Nikki, the door's open to basically all the women who's ever been in a wrestling ring that they can be inducted. So very well, Caitlyn too. It would make sense, business perspective wise. It would make sense for Caitlyn to go in. We'll have to see, but I really want the Hall of Fame class this year to be good, and that is because you know Undertaker is headlining it, so the class better be good. And speaking of legends, speaking of the Undertaker, some other person who really is expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, fans are going wild with their predictions, obviously, but this name has been thrown around since last year. It's been thrown around. This person is Hornswoggle. A lot of people are also expecting, a lot of dirt sheets and journalists are expecting Hornswoggle to be inducted into the same Hall of Fame of 2022 in Texas, along with The Undertaker. Would you like to see Hornswoggle in the Hall of Fame this year? Let me know. AJ, everything okay? Have you embraced the God? Hey, you know what? Everybody should be embracing the God side tonight, Jamie, because The Undertaker is being inducted, and not just inducted, he's headlining this year's Hall of Fame class of 2022, which is brilliant. I'm so happy. I'm really happy. I saw this coming from miles away, obviously, because, it's taking place in Texas. but I'm happy for Taker. I mean, he deserves it more than anybody else. He's been around for decades. But one thing, and I said this earlier, one thing that really has my curiosity up is the way that they're going around with this WrestleMania, this Hall of Fame this year, because usually what we see is that Hall of Fame is an event that takes place standalone, right? It's an event that you buy tickets to, and you go and attend it just for the Hall of Fame, just for the legends, just to pay homage, respect to the people who are being inducted. This year, though, Hall of Fame is not a standalone event. It's taking place in the very same venue, on the very same night, in front of the very same audience that are going to be in attendance for SmackDown. So it's a two-in-one deal. It's similar to how they do dark matches and they do 205 live and superstars taping after the main event shows, main roster shows. And that's how they're doing Hall of Fame this year. Same crowd, same place, same venue, same night. It's it. It's weird. It's weird. And Jamie says the Hall of Fame will be on a Friday night after SmackDown. So hopefully AEW will allow Rampage to go on early. I think that they will do that. They will have to do that. But Jamie and everybody here in the comments, what do you feel about Hall of Fame this year not being a standalone event? Because I feel like it's gonna take the charm of the event. I mean, if you have SmackDown on the very same night, what do you do with the production? Because Hall of Fame is supposed to be an event where you see all these journalists, in the red carpet. You see superstars lining up an hour before the event starts, and you see all these interviews taking place and stuff like that. Now, if SmackDown goes off the air at 10 p.m. and 10 p.m. is when your Hall of Fame goes on, what do you do with the seating arrangements? What do you do with everything? That really has me curious. And also, can we also talk about how Hall of Fame is the one event of the year where all the superstars come, with their partners, and they come suited up and they're dressed and they're ready to celebrate and have fun, have a good time. But this year, when the Hall of Fame will go on the air, a lot of superstars will actually be in the shower and would be, just getting the sweat off their body from the matches that they would have on SmackDown, and they would be, not be even dressed properly for the Hall of Fame. That's an interesting part. I don't know how are they going to do with the production, and how are they going to get their stars ready in time for the ceremony, how the seating is going to be. What could happen here is that they do the Hall of Fame in a very similar fashion as they did last year. Remember last year, True, Hall of Fame was basically no audience, no superstar in the crowd, just the people who are being inducted out there, delivering their acceptance speech, and that's about it. We could be seeing the very same thing this time. I mean, I'm just trying to put two and two together. You were having SmackDown, and right after SmackDown, you were having the Hall of Fame ceremony. What does that mean? That means that you're not going to be having the whole production, the red carpet, the seating arrangements. You're not going to have all of that, which means that superstars are not going to be dressed for the Hall of Fame ceremony, which makes me feel that we're not going to have superstars in attendance at all. It's not going to be the Hall of Fames that we've seen or we're used to seeing in the past. This is just going to be the Hall of Fame like we saw last year, in front of just the audience and with just an acceptance speech. I think so. No, Jamie, it's not taped. It's not taped. That's the funny point. It's not taped. It's live. It's taking place in front of the live audience. That's what they're saying. So the people, and I'll pull up the post here. So the Post, New York Post, was the first website, the first news agency that broke the news of the Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame, and they've got some good information here about the Hall of Fame this year. I'm gonna pull up the article here. And from what I'm seeing is that, let's see. Yeah, check out this part of the article. The Hall of Fame ceremony will air on Peacock on April 1st in front of a live audience that will have been in attendance for SmackDown at the American Airlines Center in Dallas. That kicks off WrestleMania weekend. Now, this means that it's taking place, it's for sure. No, Jamie, no Wikipedia. But yeah, it's for sure that the Hall of Fame is taking place in front of the same audience that will be attending, the same show that is SmackDown. It says it right here very clearly at the American Airlines Center. Both these shows are not taped. They will be done live, and they will air live, as we can see. It's going to be airing on April 1st on Peacock. So the production, the way they're going to set it up, is interesting to me and makes me feel that the Hall of Fame is not going to be like the usual Hall of Fame that we're used to seeing. It's going to be something very similar to last year. Now, last year it took place in front of a Thunderdome. This year it's going to take place in front of a live audience, minus the superstars in attendance, which kind of takes the fun out of it because we're so used to see the superstars in attendance. So we'll have to say, Jamie, you have a point. You have a point. It doesn't state the time. Will it take place before? Will it take place after? But one thing's for sure: it cannot be a day and night. It cannot be that the Hall of Fame takes place in the morning or this one takes place at night because you have the same audience, which means they have to happen one after the other. They cannot have a gap between those. That's for sure because they won't be able to retain that audience back. So yeah, it's definitely taking place one after the other, Jamie. Yes, they haven't announced the time for it, but definitely taking place, one after the other. While they do say that the tickets for this SmackDown slash Hall of Fame event, so yeah, I will pull it up again just so you can see. It very clearly says here um, tickets for the SmackDown slash Hall of Fame event. So it's one combined event for both. And that's for sure, Jamie, even though they have not stated a time, this has to happen one after the other, two consecutive events. The tickets will go on sale on Feb 22nd, and that is when we'll get to see a better and a more clear picture. I'm afraid, while I don't want for it to happen, I do have a feeling that this is going to be very similar to what we saw last year. Just instead of the Thunderdome, we're going to see physical audience, but I don't think we're going to be seeing superstars, in the audience and just cheering on. I don't think that we're going to be seeing superstars, seated there. I don't see it happening. I see this Hall of Fame ceremony being very similar to what we saw last year, sadly. I hope I'm wrong, but this is what it looks like. And True says, how does WWE continue to get away with false advertising? WrestleMania isn't in Dallas. That's true. And, that's what they like to do. It's marketing, it's false advertising. I mean, you know, uh, WrestleMania 35, I was there live for it. It took place in New Jersey. It took place in MetLife Stadium, New Jersey. It's really far away from New York City. It's far, and they advertise it at New York. It's not New York. It's New Jersey. So yeah, it's just marketing. It's marketing gimmick, and they get away with it because the state is in bed with them the whole time. So yeah, they get away with it. It's just their marketing gimmick. It's just that. John Cena Cruz is here, by the way. Good to see you. And they say, I really hope he's actually getting inducted and then retiring. And you know what? I spoke to Maria Kanellis about it because she's not a very good friend of Nikki Bella. So I asked her thoughts on Nikki Bella and stuff like that. And I said that, what do you think about Nikki Bella? She just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and now she's saying that she wants to get back to the ring, and she's planning to get back to the ring. What do you feel about it? Do you feel like wrestlers should retire after getting into the Hall of Fame? And Maria was like, no, I don't think that they need to retire anymore. Those days are gone. Now people, they're just, it's a different world, it's a different environment now. So she basically said that Hall of Fame now is more business than anything. Nikki Bella, the Bella twins being inducted was more business than anything. Last year, Titus O'Neil receiving the Warrior Award over Shad Gaspard, who gave his life, who gave the ultimate sacrifice for his son, was business than anything for Titus O'Neil to be inducted. So Titus got inducted into the Hall of Fame because he was in Florida, because he's from Florida, because WrestleMania was taking place in Florida. Undertaker this year, like it or not, is being inducted at this very same year because WrestleMania is taking place in Texas. This is also the reason why the likes of Caitlyn are being rumored to be inducted. Caitlyn, yes, that's right, Caitlyn is being rumored to be inducted into the Hall of Fame because she's from Houston, Texas as well. It's business at the end of the day. And yeah, that's about it. Can't do nothing about it. Jamie says, I think they will wait and get everyone ready backstage so they have an hour break. What I see, Jamie, if you think that they're going to make them wait, what I see happening is that SmackDown goes off the air and then we get a red carpet live. But for the red carpet live as well, you need to have, some production. You need to have the carpet. You need to have stuff done. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it all turns out. But for now, I'm really intrigued when it comes to the production. I could see them, waiting for these stars to get ready before they come out. But I still see that. How will the production happen? Are they going to have time to get the red carpets done and everything? That's going to be interesting. All right. We're all excited to see KJ level up tonight. That's right. We're doing a 4 hour long watch along tonight. It's going to start with AEW Rampage, which takes place at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight. Then we're going to do a watch along for SmackDown, as we always do. And then we're going to do Level Up. So a 4 hour long watch along tonight. And tomorrow we're going to be here for 12 hours live. It's nothing going to be pre recorded, it's going to be live 12 hours from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be here. We're kicking off things with Elimination Chamber live watch along. Then we're gonna have some live interviews, some interaction games and stuff with all of you. Another interview with Moose, which is gonna be for No Surrender, and then we're gonna close the night with the No Surrender watch along. So 12 hours live stream here at Wrestling News. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Subscribe, like, so you don't miss out on the breaking news, on all of the crazy stories and everything that we do right here at Wrestling News. And True says it's not real Hall of Fame anyway. If they're healthy enough and want to keep bumping, keep bumping. You're right, True. Absolutely. Yeah. Back then, you didn't really see people come back to WrestleMania. That's right. That's right. And you know what? I am used to that kind of mentality. Honestly, I'm used to that. When you talk about the Hall of Fame, you get that idea that okay, like what, they had a very historic, very celebrated career. They did everything that they possibly could, and that's why they're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. There is a reason why a WWE Hall of Fame is called a WWE Hall of Fame, because when you've done it all, when you don't need to win any more championships, you go into the Hall of Fame, right? I mean, it's the Hall of Fame, for God's sake. It's not a championship title. Yeah, you can win a championship title, you can drop it, and you can win it back, right? But for the Hall of Fame, it should be up there. It should be that last goal in your career. I mean, technically, but it's the WWE, it's wrestling, and in professional wrestling, now we know. Never say never. I mean, look at Cody Rhodes joining WWE again. Now we really know it is never say never. So even after the Hall of Fame, are they gonna come back? Are they gonna wrestle? Is the Undertaker gonna wrestle? Is Caitlyn gonna wrestle? Is Hornswoggle gonna wrestle? Never say never. Never say never. Thank you so much for stopping by. You're awesome. Thank you so much. And True says, I wonder why the actual Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame doesn't get enough recognition. It's all about the production, all about the money, True. You know that. WWE's does, because, they're mainstream. The world gets to know about it, and that's why they get the recognition that they get. You know what makes me really sad when you talk about the WWE Hall of Fame is that last year we didn't have a very fair Hall of Fame. It was edited, it was cut. The stars were not given enough time to actually deliver their speech, which was heartbreaking. Uh, and the last Hall of Fame, the last decent Hall of Fame, an actual Hall of Fame that we actually got, was ruined by a fan who attacked the Hart family, and that was bad. That's the one last actual Hall of Fame ceremony, a standalone Hall of Fame ceremony that we got, and that was ruined by a crazy fan who jumped in to attack the Hart family. It was horrible. Hopefully, we get to see nothing like that again, because this is the night when everything, the chapter closes, the book closes, and people come on the stage to accept the award and to close the pro wrestling chapter of their life. So fans should be more respectful. They should be more respectful. Do you know the kickoff show match for the Chamber, or so they no longer do them? Well, they're doing the kickoff show for sure. I don't know if they've announced it. Let me check it up right now, Jamie. Chamber 2022 WWE kickoff match. One second. Let's see. So we're getting. Yeah, I don't see that it's announced. No, they haven't announced it. We know that the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match between Lashley, Lesnar, Seth freaking Rollins, Austin Theory, Riddle, and AJ Styles taking place. Becky Lynch versus Lita for Raw Women's Championships taking place. Roman Reigns versus Goldberg, the match that nobody cares about it taking place. Women's Elimination Chamber between Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, and Alexa Bliss is taking place. The winner earns an opportunity at the Raw Women's title at WrestleMania. Apart from that, we're getting Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss, Usos versus Viking Raiders, Charlotte Flair and Sonya Deville versus Ronda Naomi, and Rey Mysterio versus The Miz. If I'm looking at this whole match card, I believe that the one match that just sounds stupid is Drew McIntyre versus Madcap Moss. Could this be the kickoff match? I don't think so because it's Drew McIntyre, but you never know. From the looks of it, I'm looking at this card. I don't think there will be a kickoff match. There is no match here that's worthy of a kickoff. Madcap Moss is worthy of a kickoff, but not as Drew McIntyre, so we'll have to see. Chris, good to see you. I called it a while ago, lol. I knew he would be the first. I said it 2 months ago. You did, Chris, and I did too. I knew it. They're going to Texas. It only makes sense for them to induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. I mean, he deserves it. The man deserves it. Everybody's happy for him. Texas, his home state. Good for him. Good for him. We never had one for the Rumble either. Yeah, Jamie, it seems like we're not going to have it. Just, doing things with the whole actual main event show. Saudis don't like kickoff. They don't like light stuff. They just want to go all in. It's awesome. Drew versus Moss should be, yeah, I know, right? It should be. I mean, Moss, Drew. I don't even know if there's any build up to that match. I don't even know if anybody cares about that match. So I would not complain if it wasn't the pre show. I would not complain, but it won't be because it's a false count anywhere. So they're definitely going to save it for the pops, for, all the craziness. And it's going to take place on the main card. Who do you think will induct him? Chris, good question. I spoke about this earlier, and a lot of people have different opinions. Again, everybody here, let me know what do you think. But for me, if I were to guess, and if I were to pick somebody who would be inducting The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame, I have to say Vince McMahon, because The Undertaker is a once-in-a-lifetime superstar. And in my humble opinion, I could be wrong, but in my humble opinion, there is no icon who was bigger and larger than Vince McMahon. He is the creator of everything. He's the creator of The Undertaker. He's the creator of this wrestling universe. So I think if there is one person who should be inducting The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame, it should be the creator, Vince McMahon, the guy who created wrestling, pro wrestling, the guy who created The Undertaker. I think it's the ultimate honor to be inducted by him, and that ultimate honor should be bestowed upon the dead man, The Undertaker. I think it's going to be Vince. Let me know if you think otherwise, Chris. I'd like to know what you think. Everybody here, let me know what do you think. I'd love to know your opinion. True says Teddy Long should induct. Yeah, you know what? You know what, True? I could see Teddy Long inducting both Kane and The Undertaker as a tag team down the line as the Brother of Destruction. I think it's happening. Hey, what do you think? Do you see the Brothers of Destruction getting inducted into the Hall of Fame as a tag team, and Taker and Kane being two-time Hall of Famers? I see it happening. Do you see it happening? Let me know, because nobody's talked about it. Nobody has mentioned it so far. I'd like to know if you agree with me. I think Undertaker is not going to be one, but maybe a two-time Hall of Famer along with Kane. I think their team deserves an induction. You should interview. I would love to. Maybe one day. I'd love to. Do you think Teddy Long will come out during the Sammy match and say he will go one-on-one with The Undertaker and then get rolled up and loses? I'd love that, Jamie. But you know what? The creative in the WWE is not as creative as we are, so it's probably not happening. Probably not happening. Teddy Long and Taker go back to WC. That's true. That is what I was talking about, True. I mean, Taker has been here for so many eras. There's so many eras. It's crazy how many people he has worked with, and almost, I believe, everybody just has enormous respect for The Undertaker. When we were talking about who would induct Taker, now you say that Teddy Long should induct him. Somebody earlier said Bret Hart should induct him. Somebody said that, he has good chemistry with Stone Cold, with Kane. There are so many names out there. Shawn Michaels also was mentioned. There are so many names out there, so many people who should induct him, and so many people who would love to induct him. I don't think there has ever been a WWE superstar that people would jump on the idea of inducting him into the Hall of Fame. It would be an honor for the inductee and the inductor. It would be an absolute honor. And that's why I feel like it's Vince McMahon, the guy, the icon, the boss, the creator wins. I think it's Vince. What's your favorite finisher? Kunal, good to see you. My favorite finisher, that's a tricky one. Just trying to think real quick. He caught me off guard there. What is my favorite finisher? I'll have to say, I'll go with there we go. I'll go with the attitude adjustment because Cena's my favorite wrestler. He always has been. So I think it's fair for me to go with Cena and say the AA is definitely my favorite finisher. I guess there are more cool looking finishers and more devastating finishers out there, but I love Cena, and I've always loved him, so I'll stay loyal to John Cena. And I'll say AA, even though I want to say FU because it was FU when I fell in love with John Cena and FU, but AA, yeah, AA for sure. Chris says, I have three opinions: Vince McMahon, Kane, or Ted DiBiase. That's interesting. Nobody has so far brought up Ted DiBiase's name, Chris. That's interesting because he introduced him in 1990, and that's crazy. That's crazy. And you know what? This is what we're talking about, Chris. I mean, Taker just has so much of history with so many people and so many people who love the Phenom. It's crazy. I think it's gonna be a fight backstage, between people just to induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. Maybe we will see more than one person inducting him into the Hall of Fame because this guy is a legend. There has been no bigger star than Taker. There has been no bigger star, no star who has been so true to his character than Taker. I mean, he kept kayfabe alive. Undertaker is kayfabe. Let's talk about it. For a lot of people thought he was dead. He came back to life. A lot of people thought, or maybe still think, that the Undertaker is really the dead man, or that Kane is really his brother, or Paul Bearer was really his father. So much The Undertaker has given to the business. Truly an icon. And anybody who inducts him into the Hall of Fame is going to be so honored. It's going to be an honor for them. What's your favorite pay-per-view? Man, you know what? I'm not a big fan of these current gen of pay-per-views where pay-per-views are basically, they have a theme to themselves, right? I mean, they're gimmick pay-per-views. You talk about TLC, you talk about, Extreme Rules. I mean, I don't like these because they are so restricted in terms of their matches, like Elimination Chamber, right? I'm not a big fan of it because we don't get to see the chamber match on any pay-per-view except for the Elimination Chamber. I don't like that. I used to like back then when we used to have themed pay-per-views that did not really have a certain match type in their theme, but you could go all out. You could have a no way out, pay-per-view where you could get Elimination Chamber and an Extreme Rules at the same time. You could have an Armageddon where you could have a Hell in a Cell. Those are the kind of pay-per-views that I used to like because of the variety, because of the unpredictable nature that was attached to them. But if you're talking about pay-per-views now that still exist, I have to say the big daddy of them all, WrestleMania. It doesn't get any bigger than that, right? WrestleMania is it. Which was your favorite gimmick? Deadman, Biker, Lord, or Darkness? Definitely gonna go with Deadman. Yeah. What about you, Chris? Let me know. DiBiase introduced him as Kane the Undertaker. True, you're right. Kane the Undertaker. It's crazy the history that the Undertaker has and all that he's given to us all these years is crazy. I mean, let's look at the achievements here. Career achievements by BD Sport. This graphic is up by them. It says a 21 for 0 streak. Yeah, I'm glad that they wrote 21 for 0. Four-time WWF WWE champion, three-time World Heavyweight champion, hardcore champion, six-time tag team champion, and this is why I definitely see The Undertaker and Kane going into the Hall of Fame as the Brothers of Destruction. I think Taker is going to be inducted more than once into the Hall of Fame. This is just the first time we're seeing it. I think it has to be more than once. WCW Tag Team Champion, 2007 Royal Rumble winner, the Dead Man, Big Evil, Phenom, American Badass, the Lord of Darkness, so much greatness is The Undertaker. I can't believe we've always been talking about for an hour about The Undertaker for an hour. It's crazy. Time flies, right? And The Undertaker is just that. He is the dead man, the Phenom. He's given us years and decades of entertainment, so we can go on and talk about him, talk about his history, talk about why his induction just makes everybody smile and cry in happiness. Because, no matter you're a wrestling fan now or you were a wrestling fan back then, you know The Undertaker. No matter you were a wrestling fan at all or not, you know The Undertaker. Undertaker is a household name, no matter that household, consumes wrestling as a form of entertainment or they do not. Undertaker is everywhere. Everybody knows this guy. So I think that a lot of eyes will be drawn to WrestleMania and drawn to the Hall of Fame because of Undertaker and his last farewell, I believe, at the Hall of Fame. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, for sure. Lord of Darkness. Great. Fantastic gimmick indeed. What's your favorite wrestler? The one that we're talking about right now, I'll have to say The Undertaker, man. But John Cena comes second close. But definitely. Jamie, great question. The one match that really got me into wrestling, actually, was The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25. That is the match that made me go, wow, I love pro wrestling. Is this what pro wrestling is? If this is it, I love pro wrestling. So The Undertaker is the guy who got me hooked on pro wrestling, and I'm grateful to him because I would have never fallen in love with pro wrestling, professional wrestling, had it not been for The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. They blew the roof off the house. It was great. I remember watching Taker in World Class as Texas. Wow. That's awesome, Drew. Yeah, you see, everybody has such unique and distinct memories when it comes to Taker. Beautiful memories. Amazing. My favorite wrestling, The Undertaker. Raven, good to see you. Welcome to the stream. That's right, The Undertaker is incredible, is a hero for all of us, and is going into the Hall of Fame. What is your favorite wrestler? Just like I said, Undertaker and John Cena. Very close. But The Undertaker, definitely. I respect him more than any wrestler out there. Really cool. And if you look at wrestlers these days, right, it's not just Taker, it's not just that they are good in front of the ring or stuff like that. Taker was an all-rounder. He is an all-rounder. Not only does he have a very good repo on screen, but he's respected backstage. He was always seen as a locker room leader, and he is also respected by the fans. Never came. Okay, there have been a few controversies, but he's never been, just what? How do I say it? He's never been surrounded by a lot of bad and bad things or bad controversies or ugly stuff. He's never been in any of those. If you look at any wrestlers in recent history, yeah, there has been something with everybody. But Taker and Cena, I guess, are the two people who have never had anything ugly about them. I mean, everybody respects them, everybody loves them. And the fact that he's been here for over 2 decades, for close to 3 decades, so long, and he's been able to do all of this without bad media, without bad press, and has been able to keep his respect up. It's great. There's a phrase which I love. It says that you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And feel for The Undertaker, he never became the villain. That's the unique part about him. I mean, he lived a hero, and he is going into the Hall of Fame as a hero. No bad media, no bad press, nothing ill is ever spoken about the dead man. Everybody loves him, bows down in front of him. This is The Undertaker, and he's a once in a lifetime superstar for sure. Did you like this match, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso? I quit. Yeah, every match with Roman Reigns is pretty damn cool, right? But what about you? Do you enjoy Roman Reigns? Who is your favorite wrestler? Let me know. True says Undertaker beating up David Flair is still hilarious to me. Yeah, good times indeed, right? Will AEW wrestlers attend the event to see the Undertaker? Hey, you know what? I think that WWE at this point would absolutely invite and be happy to have AEW wrestlers on board because right now WWE is up here in terms of their motivation and their morale. They're up here. We know for a fact that is a big celebration going on backstage at the fact that WWE has able to secure the EVP, the top guy of AEW, that is Cody Rhodes. The whole the morale backstage in the WWE is really up, is high over here. They're happy, they're celebrating, they're getting wins all over. They just signed a contract, a first of its kind deal, which is with in terms of an official autograph partner. Is the first time they're doing it. They're rolling in money, they're rolling in success. They've got Cody Rhodes on board. They're inducting The Undertaker into the Hall of Fame. They are everywhere. I mean, mainstream media right now is talking about the WWE. WWE is more successful than anything, and they have never been more successful than this. They recorded historically high record revenue in 2021, and 2022 is just going to be even better. I mean, they're making record profits. People say Attitude Era was the golden era in professional wrestling. This era, this era is the golden era for the WWE because they have never made so much money in their entire history than they're doing right now. And with AEW's, top guy now being on board, yeah, you know that WWE is really happy. Their morale is up there, and they would like to show their success in AEW's face right now. So they would be more than happy to have AEW guys, I believe, attending their event. Thank you, Jonathan. Good to see you. I can't believe he's only been a seven-time champion. John, that's the thing. It's quality over quantity in terms of The Undertaker. And also, the guy basically, since the very beginning, he was such an icon that he did not need a gold. He did not need a championship to solidify himself as a top guy. The Undertaker was always the top guy. He did not need a championship belt to prove that he is the top guy. He did not need that. A belt would just be an accessory to The Undertaker. That's it. That's all it would be because The Undertaker was more than a belt. He was greater than a belt all the time. But I agree with your point that you cannot believe that he's only a 7 and John Cena is a 17 and Ric Flair also up there. But The Undertaker is a guy who did not need championships. Others did. He did not. And that's it. That's him. That's the Taker. That's The Undertaker we know. And nobody's going to come close to the record he has when it comes to WrestleMania and the respect and everything. Nobody's going to come close. Of course. Who does not? That's see, Undertaker is indeed incredible. So many good memories. Is it official? True. I just got I came across some report, and I also spoke with somebody I know who currently is in the WWE, is a superstar, and they gave me that nod that yeah, it's happening, and Cody Rhodes will in fact be there soon. So yeah, everybody's saying that's happening. Of course, I guess only the executives, the higher ups would know when is it happening. But from what people are hearing, even, the people behind the scenes in the WWE, what they're hearing is that Cody Rhodes is in. That's what the word is going around. So, yeah, it seems like he's in, man. He's in. Jonathan says, Chris, The Undertaker held on to the titles. That's right. Quality over quantity. That's what Undertaker was all about. All about. Can Dean Ambrose? Anything can happen, man. You look at Cody Rhodes coming back. So Dean Ambrose, why not? Why not? But guys, it's been an hour and we've been talking about The Undertaker. What a pleasure it's been. Thank you for joining us. I know this was a very impromptu live stream. I saw the news and I'm like, I have to jump on. This is no lightweight stuff. This is The Undertaker, and he's being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And we should be here to celebrate and talk about The Undertaker and his accomplishments with all of you. Now, to quickly summarize this before I go, The Undertaker is being inducted to the Hall of Fame. He's going to be headlining the 2022 class of the WWE Hall of Fame class this year. It's going to be happening in Texas. And the reason why it's happening is not just because The Undertaker is the top guy, is the dead man, is the Phenom, is the legend, but also because he is from Houston, Texas. Now, the other people who are also rumored to be inducted along with The Undertaker right now are Floyd Mayweather, the boxer Floyd Mayweather, who is expected to be inducted into the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. Caitlyn, who is a former WWE diva, also from Houston, Texas, expected to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Hornswoggle is another name that is expected to be inducted. And Doom, the tag team Doom, is also, people are saying, will be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And this year, the Hall of Fame is not going to be a standalone event. It's going to be paired up with SmackDown. So the people who attend SmackDown on April 1st at American Airlines Center in Texas are also going to be attending, Hall of Fame, which is going to be, these shows are going to be happening right after each other. So one ticket for two shows. Hall of Fame is not a standalone event. It's been paired up with SmackDown. So it's got to be interesting how it all takes place, how the production takes place and all that stuff. But this is it, guys. The Undertaker is going into the Hall of Fame. This was the breaking news of the day. And we'll be back, the next time there's a big breaking news coming up. Chris here says, do you see Mick Foley or Paul Bearer children inducting him? They could be there to support him, Chris, but I definitely, I said this from the very beginning that this stream started, and I'm still going to stick to my words. I see Vince McMahon inducting The Undertaker. I think Vince is the guy. But let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Did you know Rob Van Dam? Yeah, Rob Van Dam, of course. Awesome guy. I have been in touch with him personally. He's a great guy. Maybe he'll pop up here on Wrestling News for an exclusive interview in the future. But I'll promise you something. We are having some very cool interviews coming up. And, of course, 24/7, news. And every time there's a big news popping, I'm here, or it's LG or KG who's going to be here to talk about it. Butch Reed and that's right, true. I absolutely agree. Damn, Rob Simons. Who can forget the damn? Who can forget Simons? They were great. Yeah. Do you like Seth Rollins versus the Fiend? Yeah, man. Anything with the Fiend and the Architect, love it, man. So yes, to before I end this, I will quickly let you guys know that tonight we will be here to do a 4 hour watch along, which will start at 7 p.m. Eastern with Rampage. And then we're going to do SmackDown for 2 hours. And then we're going to end the night with NXT Level Up. So we're here for 4 hours. So make sure to join us tonight as we are here for a 4 hour watch along. But tomorrow, we are here at 11 a.m. Eastern for the pre show of Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia. We're going to be doing a watch along for the Chamber. And we're going nowhere. After the Chamber goes out the air, we're going to have a live interview. After which, we're going to have an interactive session with all of you. After which, we're going to have an interview with Moose, the Impact World Champion. After which, we're going to do a watch along for Impact Wrestling's No Surrender pay-per-view. So we're here from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern, 12 hours long, or you can say all day long, right here on Wrestling News. And on Sunday, one half of the Ascension. And since you guys are here, I'll just let you know, Victor from the Ascension is joining us on the Wrestling Show right here at Wrestling News. And it's going to be a shoot interview. It's going to be non-scripted. It's going to be uncensored. No edits at all. It's just going to be a conversation between myself and Victor. A 90 minutes long conversation. Not an interview, a conversation. And he talks to me about everything. And says things that he says he's never said before to anybody. It's going to be an interesting interview, which comes out this Sunday. So we've got a hell of a weekend planned right here at Wrestling News, starting tonight with our 4 hour watch along. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today, giving me company, talking about The Undertaker, the legend, the dead man. Michelle McCool, I agree, Chris. She probably will go along with Taker. Let's see what happens. 5-knuckle shuffle. Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure. You guys have a great day ahead. I will see you tonight, 4 hour watch along. As always, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, because we come up here live every time there's a breaking news story. Thank you so much, Drew. Thank you, Chris, Kunal, everybody, Jonathan. You guys are awesome. Jamie, thanks. Take care. Have a good day ahead. Bye-bye. Peace.